So we are going to give you a tip of the iceberg again. So in this we will just talk about two things: secret key encryption and public key encryptions. But first of all, security means many things. First, it means integrity. Integrity means whether whatever I sent is what was received, not something different. So if somebody changes a bit, I should know that it was changed. If it is changed, if it is not changed, then it is called integrity is maintained. Otherwise, integrity is violated. Availability. Availability means that nobody who is legal is prevented from using it. There is no denial of service attack kind of thing, right? So the thing is, for example, you could ping continuously to some computer, and then basically the people who want to really use the computer will not be able to get things done, and that is violation of availability. Confidentiality means nobody can read your messages, so you need encryption. That's another name for privacy. Authentication. Authentication means you are who you say you are. For example, if you get an email saying that the exam is cancelled, you should make sure that it is authentic message, right? And it did happen. Okay. Authorization is that only what you are authorized to do, you do. And so there is everybody is authorized to do certain things. Students are allowed to do something, professors are allowed to do something else, and then the deans are allowed to do something more, and so on and so forth. So we have to have authorization limits, and so who can get done what. And non-repudiation is that you cannot deny that you did it. So suppose you sign a piece of paper saying that I will pay $25,000 to Vashu, and if you don't pay it, Vashu can come after you and say that you signed it. And you say, it's not my signature, they can prove it that's your signature, right? That is called repudiation, is that if you sent a message saying that I sign it, and you can sign the message, there are ways of signing the message on the net. If you sign it, then we can take you to the court and show to the court that they signed it on the net. Alright, so the source cannot take it back. Alright, so those are all different words we use. And so we will go into secret key encryption. And these are the 5-6 things we will talk about: secret key, block encryption. So actually, let me just move into that rather than what we are going to talk about. Okay, so secret key means that we need to have a secret. If I want to talk to you, we both need to have a secret. If we have the secret, we can use that as a key and encrypt everything. Alright? And this is called symmetric because you can use the same key to encrypt and you can use the same key to decrypt. So for example, we could select the key 9, and when I want to send you number 433, I could send you number 481. Alright? Now nobody else will figure out what 481 is, but you know the key 9, so you will take the last digit, that is the remainder. Other digits are the quotient, and you say, okay, 48R1 is 433. Make sense? But if you knew number 9 key, then then it's not a secret anymore. So the secret is number 9. Assuming we got the key, then we can use the key to encrypt, and it is symmetric because we use the same key to encrypt and same key to decrypt. So you see, we use the same key to encrypt from the plain text to ciphertext, and we use the same key to decrypt. So it is called symmetric. So here are some other examples of secret key. You can substitute one thing for the other. Suppose we decide that we will substitute M for A, N for B, and so on and so forth. So basically you can just take letter A and add some number to get M. Add the same number to get N from B, and so on and so forth. J, K, L, M, N, O. Well, here actually they didn't use simple substitution. What they did was, this is the code. We selected this code that for A we will say M, for B we will say N, for C we will say B, for D we will say V, And then when I want to send Bob, I love you, Alice, you will say nxn.sktc whatever it is, right? And then if they have the key, they can figure out what this means. Clear? Okay. So they call it monoalphabetic because each letter is individually encrypted. In polyalphabetic, you will take multiple letters, you will take multiple codes for multiple positions. For the first position, this is the code. For the second position, there is a different code. For third position, different code. So there are more complicated techniques. Okay? And similar things are used in the real world. And what we do in the real world is that we take, and this is actually an example what is called DES. DES is the data encryption system which is used in the banks and every other place. What we do is we take a 64-bit, everything is divided into 64-bit first. And then we take a 64-bit and divide into 8 bits. And then for 8 bits we substitute. Just like you substitute the M for A, we substitute something for 8 bits. Then we take them back and then we mingle them around. Means there is a permutation. So this is called substitution. Right? And this is called permutation because then there is another table which tells me that put the first bit at the 4th place, second bit at the 13th place. So just mingle it around. Alright? And then whatever you get, you go back again and do it second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, 16th time, 64th time. If you've done it enough, it looks like totally encrypted now. So this is what we do. We do two things: substitution and permutation. Substitution is basically a table lookup. You take A and substitute it for something else. And permutation is moving the bits around. Okay, variable length is not desirable. I mean, is that generally, so we generally get X bit in and X bit out. But variable length is more used for compression. And so the compression is variable length. And in some situations we do compression first before we do encryption, then it is variable length. But encryption by itself is not, generally not. Although you could do that. I mean, for example, Morse code is not really a secret, but that's a variable length. Right? But I think for encryption we have not seen that. Alright, so that was the block encryption. You take into short block and then you can do the substitution and permutation, and we call it diffusion and confusion. Basically diffusion means we want to move the bits. By substitution we want to move the bits so that they are spread over all over, and by confusion we want to move them around. So those are the two things. And these two words came from Shannon, the father of information theory. He simply said that if you want to encrypt, then we need to do diffusion followed by confusion. He could not come up with, actually he did not propose a solution, but he proposed an approach, diffusion and confusion, and then people figured out how to do it. And so we still use those words. Alright, so then we make it a little bit more complicated by doing cipher block chaining, where we take, so here's the thing, first let me tell you, if you don't do cipher block chaining, this is what will happen, is that you take the message, encrypt it, you get the cipher text. Take the second message, you encrypt it. Now, the problem with this is that you will get the same message every time you have the same message here. Right? Which is not good. That gives some information to the attacker that I don't know what the message is, but the same message that was sent 2 days ago. 2 days ago they bought a lot of stock, so they are going to buy a lot of stock today. It's the same message. Alright? So you don't want to have the same message encrypted to the same ciphertext every single time. Right? So what you do is, you do chaining. You take this ciphertext and add it to the message before you do the second one, and then you add it to the message before you do the third one. You need an initial value in the beginning which you change every day. So as long as the initial value is different, all these values will be different. Right? So now the attacker does not get the same combination every single time. So here is another example. Continue holding, start bombing. I mean, now it is very difficult to guess what you are saying, even though there are 4 words. Whether it is not 2 words, continue holding or start bombing, you don't know because it keeps changing. All right. So DES and 3DES. So DES is the standard that was first developed in 1998 and broken in 1998 by, it was developed much before that. It was broken in 1998 by Electronic Frontier Foundation. They ran a competition saying that who can break it. And so a lot of computers are put together to, work out the other way around. But anyway, it uses 64-bit blocks and 56-bit keys. So 64-bit block means that you take the message, chop it into 64-bit chunks. And actually you take 64-bit keys also, but the keys, what you do is you take only 7 bits out of the 8 bits. Alright? So if a 8-byte, 64-bit, but you get only 7 times 8, 56 bits. So that is what you use, 56-bit key. And now 56-bit key is not strong enough, and therefore DES is no longer used. We use triple DES. We do DES 3 times. So instead of 16 rounds, we do 48 rounds. In fact, there could be 2 or 3 different keys. If you use 2 keys or 3 keys, but you use 3 executions of DES, and you can get 2 times 56, 112, or 3 times 56, 168 bit. Okay, and then the 64 bit is actually too low, so this is kind of not the best thing. So that is somewhat dated. Both of them are dated. What we use now is AES, Advanced Encryption Standard, AES, which was developed by NIST, which is the National Institute of Standards and Technology. So NIST is in Washington, D.C., also called National Bureau of Standards, or it was called the National Bureau of Standards before, now it's called NIST. And so they do all the security work for the United States. All the security standards, if you take the security course, you will notice that one chapter after chapter after chapter, all the standards for security are set by them. Once they are set by them for the United States, they are copied all over the world exactly the same way. So the rest of the world does the same thing. So AES is the standard from NIST, and it uses 128-bit blocks, and the keys are 128-bit, 192-bit, 256-bit, and bigger and bigger and bigger actually going on. But regardless of which standard you use, there are some combination of substitution and permutation, confusion and diffusion, period. It's just how they do it, and they are very carefully designed. These substitution tables are very carefully designed so that they are very difficult to break. And so this is a good point to stop. This one basically, the summary of this whole part is, first is that the secret key encryption requires a shared secret. As long as we have the key, we can do the encryption, and we talked about 3 different standards, DES, 3DES, and AES. CBC, what is CBC? CBC is cipher block chaining. The chaining we talked about is one of the modes that are used to make sure that you get a different text every time, different cipher text.